Welcome to the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association's second edition of A Teacher's Work. As we celebrate World Teachers Day 2022, Tutor has decided once again to recognize the human service of teachers to their students and the communities. One teacher from each educational district will be chosen. This year is especially significant as teachers are facing widespread criticism across all sectors. We encourage you to view and appreciate the plight of teachers, their activities both in and out of the classroom that contribute to the positive development and enhancement of our future generations. Today we have with us Ms. Gail Alexander Walters. Welcome and good afternoon, Ms. Walters.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you too.
How are you?
Oh, wonderfully rested and beautifully made. Thank you.
You worked for 41 years in the teaching service. Tell me a bit about that experience.
41 years is a long time, and I have seen, positive and negative changes. I've seen and gone through certain transitions. It depends on where you stand. You look at it differently, but it was 41 enriching years, 41 worthwhile years, 41 years of growth, major changes, and a lot of adaptations.
Have you stayed in one school for all of your teaching experience, or were you moving at different points?
Fortunately, no. I have taught literally through the length and breadth of Trinidad. My very first appointment was at Santa Flora Government School. Santa Flora AC School. Then I went to Corinth Teachers College, spent 2 years there. I lived in Santa Flora and was placed at Tranquility Government Primary School. Mr. Rudolph Borden was my principal then. I spent a little over a year there. Then I went to Shogunas Government School. Then to Rancho Quemado Government School. Then to South Orpooch Government School, where I spent 21 years. That is the school at which I spent the longest time. And on promotion, I went to Icacos Government School. That's the boot tip of Trinidad, where I spent 12 years as principal. So yes, I literally have taught all over Trinidad, in a sense.
Wow! Traveling from Santa Flora to Tranquility Government Primary. How was that experience?
Well, for those persons who were around at that time, Guayama didn't have a two-lane highway at the time. It was a single lane. So of course you spent hours in traffic. At that time I didn't have a car. Few teachers had a car back then in 1983. So it was leaving Santa Flora at the crack of dawn, 4:30 in the morning. I had other friends who were traveling as well, by road transport. Traffic. So you were stuck in traffic and got to school around 9:30 in the morning. On a good day, you got to school at around 9. Fortunately, I had a really wonderful principal who was very understanding of my situation. And the staff was very accommodating. So after the traffic war in the morning, school was a pleasure to look forward to. They were nurturing and encouraging, supportive. And because I liked what I did, and I was youthful at the time, so I didn't really see those big challenges. I didn't see it as a problem at the time, a major one at the time. So school was something to look forward to. So it took care of the problem every day.
So you would get to school after 9. What time would you get home, leaving Port of Spain to travel all the way back down to Santa Flora?
Some days it would be maybe 6:30. That's on the very good days and very rare. Sometimes it would be 9:30, depending if there was bad weather. Transport was always a problem. Yes, those were the challenges. Those were the difficult parts of the day. At 3 o'clock, you realize you got this sinking feeling in your stomach, Lord, I have to face this again. But you want to come tomorrow because school was really something to look forward to. That environment made it something to look forward to and rewarding at Tranquility.
That's truly inspirational. getting up at after so early in the morning and then getting home late at night, but looking forward every single day to meet your charges. Really inspiring. I see that you were involved in a number of extracurricular activities. Tell me about those.
In the classroom at South Orpooch Government School, I was a Red Cross patron for a number of years. As a matter of fact, I found a past student of mine in the supermarket last week who is a fifth-year med school student, and he told me he got his inspiration from my Red Cross class. I asked him, did I teach you a standard 4 or where did I know you again? Because I remember it was Orpooch. He said, yeah, Miss, I used to be in your Red Cross class, take them to competitions and so on. That's one of many success stories, but we take them to chain gathering. I remember Maniram John St. Patrick hosted, and we took them to Maniram John for chain gathering, national chain gathering 1 year. Competitions, preparation for Red Cross quizzes and so on, the practical, Red Cross activities in school, first aid and so on. So yes, that was an enriching time. Nice body of experience apart from pure education.
You have been teaching for 41 years. Started in 1981, yes? And now retired. A lot of changes would have taken place during your career. How were you able to handle or manage? How were you able to manage the changes that came over time? We moved from a paper-based classroom to one where we had our students online. We moved from corporal punishment to one where we had to find alternative ways to discipline students. How was the change, the progression for you?
To be quite honest, all of the transitions were not as smooth and as, and embraced fully as quickly as they should have been. But I must say, in the long run, if you like teaching and you like the job you do, you must trust the powers that be when certain decisions are taken. Sometimes you don't believe it will work initially, but reading, education, exposure to what other cultures do, what works, best practices in other territories and so on, coupled with even models in your own community, in in schools that you're familiar with, and you see certain changes working. One is able to, once you're open-minded enough and you like what you do, you're open-minded to give it a try. Give it the benefit of the doubt. All of this theory can't be for nothing, so you give it a try. The only constant really is change, and once one is willing to adapt, and the change comes as it inevitably will. Sometimes kicking and screaming, it takes you there, but once there is no harm in practicing the new change effort, it works, and because you want peace and smooth running of things, the adaptation takes place.
Nice. Now you spoke about change, something that happens all the time. We can't stop change. Change is going to come whether we like it or not. But you have experienced recently a positive change. You are now retired. How has been that experience for you?
Well, I promptly came down with a mild form of COVID because I guess while I was following all the protocols, COVID really has stymied my activities. Persons who know me know I get around a bit. I socialize quite a bit. So I would have had, let's say 4 years ago, I had certain plans. As soon as I retire, what I'd do. COVID had other plans. But of course I have major travel plans. I say as soon as COVID closes its doors at the end of this year, I'm out early next year with my travel buddy. I've been able to catch up on my reading. Actually, I'm presently reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's an interesting read. Now Sun Tzu, this ancient Chinese philosopher, military strategist, he's talking military strategy, but it's things we can practice in the classroom, at home with our own relationships. As a leader, teacher, leader, principal, or whatever, there are elements of war that exists in every niche in your lives. And it's when you go through, the first time I glossed over it because I was in a book club and I heard it was a good read. But I'm really reading the thing now with a different lens on. I tell you, it's a really enlightening, interesting bit of reading. The Art of War.
I think I will get myself a copy.
Interesting reading.
You have been involved in tutor for a very long time. And I believe you are still involved in tutor at this time. At a retirees level, yes. How do you think tutor has benefited from your participation? As well as how have you seen yourself benefiting from the involvement in tutor?
From my participation, I, with my peers, did realize I'd work in the background, make sure things are done. So we're planning, I serve on every committee that will make sure everything, comes to fruition and there are no hitches on the day. Wherever manpower is needed or advice or suggestion on something, I would volunteer willingly. So most of the machinations in the background taking place are persons who you don't really see or hear, but the task gets completed. I think that would be my contribution to tutor. I may not be the talky one on the mic all the time, but if we have caucus, so you pull ideas together, I'd readily join those activities, contribute whatever I can. I'm a good team player, so I believe in collective ideas and sharing it, with the wider body and so on. How I would have benefited. I'd like to talk about that because the very first time I was introduced to strategic planning was as a leader, district leader, and there was leadership training. I would have had exposure to that too I chaired the women's committee for about 6 years. It was Committee on Institutes of Women back at the time. It was 1999 to 2005. And I would have been sent to certain training and so on to the Caribbean territories about women in leadership, union leadership, strategic management, also, leadership in all its forms. And I realized after that kind of exposure that my union had exposed me to, I was able to translate that into my classroom activities and maybe realize I was ready for the next step, for leadership, running a school and so on.
Ms. Alexander Walters, you are truly a treasure to tutor, and I am sure that your co-workers and your former students would say the same about you. If you had to tell other teachers who are in service now, as well as those parents out there, one thing, what do you think you would say to first teachers who are still in service, and secondly to those parents?
To teachers, teaching still is an act of subversion. You all remember that book, John Holt, Teaching as a Subversive Activity? Because we take these young minds, whether it's primary or secondary school, that's our input. And that throughput, what we do during that ensuing 7 years or 6 years in the case of secondary and so on, we never underestimate your power as a teacher to change lives and to redirect thought and to retrain behaviors. I have seen it. I have seen some unbelievable stories. I have seen some super testimonies where just one teacher would have made a difference. To the parents, never underestimate the power of your teachers. Be more cooperative and see the teacher as part of your team in raising your child. It cannot be adversarial, it won't work. It doesn't work, it cannot work, it just won't work. Some of us may have anxieties about school, or some of our experiences in schools may not have been what we wanted. We cannot project that onto our children, it's not fair. We need to start with blank slate, and you need to come on board as true team players with whoever your educator is. You play a positive role in whatever way you can in the school in your children's lives.
Thank you so much, Ms. Walters. Thank you for giving human service to all of your former students as well as to our tutor. Thank you again and good afternoon. That brings us to the end of this edition of A Teacher's Worth. Join us soon for another one.